Yo, what's up everybody? This is just a quick video to kind of talk about the Souleater class a little bit. I haven't slept. It's been like almost 30 hours now since I started my last stream. But we got a lot done during the last stream. We set up the characters, so she's pretty independent of any supportive events. So she's level 60. We got her to level 60 by main questing, getting a little bit of EXP from Stronghold and pirate ship coins, and then I used a little over 30 cube tickets. In Korea, they sell cube tickets monthly in the cash shop. There's a bunch that we can get, and so I've been buying them and I've been stockpiling them for new class releases so that I can actually do this. Where I rush characters to level 60 in day one, so I can kind of just experience the class at its full capability when it comes to things like skill points, level 11 skills, level 12 skills. So we're gonna lab her. I did this split, about 1300, 1100 swiftness crit. I'm not entirely sold on this split yet because the thing with swiftness is it's kind of compounded because she gets innate cooldown reduction inside of her boundary state, but I actually still found the swiftness to be very useful outside of her boundary state, since she spends actually more time outside the boundary state than inside the boundary state. So the CDR, I found it to still be quite helpful. Crit, we do need crit because the boundary engraving, it doesn't actually provide any innate crit chance, which is kind of difficult. So we have a base of 1135 crit chance that provides 40% crit chance. Add the hallucination set bonus 20%, and we've got 60%. Call it 65 with adrenaline 1. I could have done adrenaline 3, and then I would have had 75, but I actually figured it was not that important for me to do so because one, I haven't fully leveled the hallucination set yet, so there's 8% from that. And two, planning long term, I'm planning on getting the crit elixir set on her. That bonus crit chance will be another 7%, so the two cumulatively, that's 15%. It'll bring her 65% crit chance to 80%, which I think is more than stable enough. Especially because she has circulate on her bracelet as well, so we have a little bit of extra crit chance from that as well, maybe even a little overage. So I'm actually still contemplating if I want to do that elixir set or if I want to go with the crit dam elixir set. I am strongly considering it. It's a big maybe for me. We'll see. So set wise, we're using hallucination obviously because of crit chance, the lack of crit chance in the boundary build. However, I have seen that some people are experimenting with heavy crit and then running the salvation set instead, and I think that is perfectly lucrative as well. I might toy around with that later. My only concern is frequently running into the endless MP state because she is a very piano-esque class. So endless MP is great and all, but the way that she already gets so much cooldown reduction that I think it's actually not beneficial for her to enter the endless MP state, and that's like the consideration. Salvation is also an option, and if we go that route of heavy crit salvation similar to AT Scouter, then what we can do is still consider the crit elixir sets. Oh no, we can't consider it at that point because the crit elixir set also provides additional damage, which scales very poorly when you're using the salvation set, since you'll be looking at about 90% additional damage. So that elixir stat is quite bad, at which point, you know, you just use the crit dam elixir set. You don't really have another option at that stage. So yeah, so those are really the main options, is either split crit swift with hallucination or heavy crit with salvation. I think they're both really solid options. I'm not sure which one is stronger yet. For the time being, I got a really good necklace and a really good class accessory. The class accessory was very cheap because they had updated a Korean server recently and made it so that the drop rate of class accessories has increased dramatically. So I actually ended up getting my class accessory for 70,000 gold on day one. And I kind of just plan on using this long term and not replacing it for a very long time, because I know ancient class accessory for Souleater is going to take a very long time. Ideally, it would have been the ring so that the main stat loss wouldn't have been as severe, but that's okay. I will just live with the hit on main stat for the time being, and then just upgrade it way later on down the line. You can see here the difference. It's about 2100 main stat difference, which is pretty significant, especially once we start getting to min-maxing damage in the early 1600 item levels. And then this necklace is really great because no matter what build she plays, Grudge and Keen Blunt are a no-brainer included into her build. So I got this necklace and it's future-proof for regardless if I change my build or not. The stone is just a temporary stone. This bracelet's an 11% bracelet. It's in the order that you see it. It's swiftness, crit, low circulates, low dexterity, and then that's the armor shred line. I think it's exposed weakness. It's not great, but it's better than no offensive line. So in total, the bracelet's worth about 11%, and it boosts my teammates. So technically, support Souleater. I got her legendary outfits. That went surprisingly well. I got her 3x5+1 for this test. We are simming. Having a support with mana regen. Increased mana level 3. So this is to simulate the MP that your supporter gives you. And spirit absorption level 3 with attack speed down 2 and movement speed down 2. This is to simulate the yearning effect. So this is 15% attack speed, movement speed. This is -4%. So in total, that's 11% attack speed and movement speed, which is actually one less than Yearning level 3. So basically, if you're simming, you can sim with these three things. And if you can make it work with these three, then you could definitely make it work with Yearning, TLDR. Her gems are really good. I ended up giving her better gems than expected. She's almost full level 10, which is actually better than most of my characters, except for my sorceress. And then, of course, LOS as well. So regarding the boundary build, basic principle is you use your scythe skills and your necromancy skills to fill up these soulstone crystals, and then whenever you use one of these pink skills, it'll eat up 3 of them, do a lot of extra damage, and then give you gauge down here. These 6 skills will not increase this gauge. The only way to increase this gauge is to use these pink skills. And the pink skills, if you use them without the 3 crystals, they don't really generate a whole lot. It's actually a pretty paltry amount, but you'll see that if I do this, you'll see that if I do this and now I use it with 3 crystals, it's a far more significant amount of meter. And you don't have to hit the enemy. The meter gain is actually based off of the consumption of the crystals, so you can see that it's completely independent of actually hitting an enemy. It's just based off of casting it. This meter does have a decay, so you have to constantly be attacking, and this really sucks because if you get a long mech, it could actually decay quite a lot during the long mech, or completely deplete, and you have to start from empty gauge again, and that's obviously not ideal. But the thing about this class is her identity is great and all, but it's not the only source of her damage. So this build is pretty interesting. It's a bit atypical comparatively. You saw that she has the crystals, and when she has the crystals, she has to use these pink skills, and these are nuke skills. They do very, very high damage. And then these side skills, they do very, very low damage. They just don't do that much damage at all. However, the special thing about these skills is once you fill up the red bar, it instantly puts you in the boundary state, and inside this state your sight skills deal 120% increased damage and a 40% cooldown reduction. It deactivates your pink skills during this, and then once the 12 seconds is up, you're kicked out of the state, and that's the loop. So once this small bar fills up, you go frenzy mode and you play like a demonic impulse shadow hunter, and you just go pure frenzy on the boss. And then when you're outside of the state, you're unleashing these mini nukes, not unlike a death blow striker. So it's not that she does no damage outside of her state. It's that when she's outside of her state, she does damage in these mini bursts, and when she's inside of her state, she goes gung-ho with lots of small numbers, and it's very satisfying, like a dopamine rush. Let's talk about some of her other parameters. She does have a counter. Her counter's not too shabby. It's a 2-part counter. Both parts of these will do the counter. I keep this at level 4 because the counter, but also because it generates a pretty respectable amount of soulstone gauge even at level 4. And then these 4 skills, I picked them based off of their damage dealt and the meter that they build, and also how their cooldowns align with one another. This is also my synergy application. Her synergy is 6% increased damage taken by your party members, so she's in the same vein as something like a berserker. Same exact 6% synergy, not the most desirable one, but what can you do? Okay, so what about this one green skill, this necromancy skill? Why do I have that? I have this purely because this is the single biggest soulstone generator of all the necromancy skills. The damage, I have tripods leveled on it, but that's just because we had excess tripods. The damage is not why we have it, it's just because, watch. It just generates a pretty insane amount of soulstone. And so there's going to be a lot of builds floating around, but I found that this one worked best for me because it's kind of like having 3 spenders inside 2 skills. This skill has a charged tripod, and I know charged tripods, they're kind of pointless if you're casting everything off cooldown, but you actually don't always get to cast things off cooldown. When you're inside your boundary state, for example, you can't cast these pink skills, so they'll keep stacking. And the other great thing about stacking skills is they're great for cooldown traffic jams. So when you get a long mech, say you get a mechanic where you just can't hit the boss for like a minute or something, it'll fill up that second stack, and then when you're ready to re-engage, now you have a really long string where you have 2 stacks available of a pretty powerful spender. And I found that this spender was just about as powerful as the other 3 spenders, while this one is about 50% stronger than the other ones. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And then the other thing that's cool about this skill is it's a phasing skill. So kind of like Dark Axle on Deathblade, you can move through boss type enemies with it, which is fantastic. I got the question a lot, and I'm sorry it took me a long time to actually answer this. Is Souleater entropy or is she hitmaster? Under no circumstances is this class entropy. There's basically no circumstance at all. You cannot play her hitmaster either in this particular build because certain skills actually do have the modifier for back attack on a few of your sight skills and spenders that I'm not using, but not all of them. And so in that sense, she's kind of like AT Scouter, Pistolier, Mayhem, Berserker, where they have back attack on some of their skills, but they don't use the Ambush Master engraving or the entropy set because it doesn't affect all the skills in their kit. Same concept here. And so what that essentially means is for these skills that have back attacking is optional. You're not forced to do it, but it's good to do it if you find yourself in a convenient position to do so for that 5% increased damage and that 10% increased crit chance. So it's a little bonus for skill expression just to squeeze out a little bit more for players that are a little bit more skilled. Loop. Let's talk what the actual loop for this looks like. I'm gonna do a 2-minute, and you can get an idea of how I am cycling my skills. Yeah. Let me change this so that you can see everything. There we go. was a little bit more than 2 minutes, but I think you got the rough idea or the rough gist of it. It's pretty stable overall. She gets a lot of attack options. Being able to face through the boss is great, and she's Hitmaster, or Hitmaster playstyle without using the Hitmaster engraving. And so you can kind of see that she has a lot of methods or opportunities to attack. I'm still kind of learning how she works personally, or not really how she works, but a smoother feel for operation. But this is a 5-1-2 build that I had concocted with chat's help during my 26-hour live stream. Chat helped me theorycraft this one, so shout outs to everyone who was involved with that. This is a very comfortable build. Do I think it's the strongest build? No. However, I do think it is a very functional build. We've only had 1 day to lab, so there's definitely still a lot of opportunity to really explore potentially stronger options that may or may not be better. Currently, I actually do have a inkling of a suspicion that the full crit with salvation build could potentially be better. And the reason that I think that is because A, she gets cooldown reduction inside her boundary state, 40% on these skills, and B, there's actually a few tripods located on her skills that have cooldown. They're quick prep tripods, and usually when you have these kinds of tripods, the swiftness stat has less and less of a full effect compared to someone who is baseline swiftness with no cooldown reduction found on any of their skills. So I'm going to keep labbing, but for now, this is a functional working build that I quite liked. I'm going to stitch together something maybe like a Hanumatan Run at the end of this VOD. So if you want to see it in raid gameplay or Guardian raid gameplay, keep watching. Yeah, if you enjoyed.